Hey, what's up? Michael here, ChiCityYaker. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to talk about dry suits. Now, it's early spring here on Lake Michigan. Water temperatures are still very frigid, even though our air temps are starting to slowly creep up. We're now today, for examples, are in the 50s, and a lot more folks are going to be tempted to get out in the water, whether it's inland, and then specifically when we talk about Lake Michigan, just because that body of water is just a whole entirely different beast. I want to kind of cover this because a lot of folks are asking about it and not familiar with dry suits. What's the purpose? And then what to look for if you're going to be out here looking to pick one up and take advantage of the early spring or even that post-fall, early winter open water fishing opportunities. You want to have a dry suit. You could use a wetsuit as an alternative, but generally a dry suit is going to be the way to go. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I have. Don't really get wrapped up into the specific one that I have. I've used a couple, and what I'm gonna do to help you guys out is I'm gonna link below to a couple of the brands that I've used before that I can recommend, and then if you're interested in them, you can check them out and buy them right there if you choose to. Also, an alternative is check out your local dive shops in your area. Believe it or not, a lot of these places will rent out wetsuits and dry suits. So if you're on a budget, but you still wanna go out, for example, do a trip, go on a guided trip, go out with your friends or whatever the case may be, hit up your local dive shops. That's a big tip right there that not many people tend to think about, but it can be very useful. You pay a smaller fee, you get it when you need it, and then you can kind of just return it without making that big purchase. But let's be honest here, this is a very important purchase. It's your life. Can you really put a price on it? And I hope you say no, because these things generally range from, say, about $400 on the low end for what I would say is something that's going to do you right, up to the $700-800 range, and probably even more for like the more advanced stuff. I think the sweet spot's going to be your $500-600 range. It's going to give you the quality that you need with some, kind of features in there as well. One important feature that we're gonna talk about. So let me go ahead and pull out my dry suit right here and we'll kind of go over it. All right, here's my dry suit and I'm gonna kind of cover it top to bottom. So starting at the neck here, kind of important. Most of the necks you're gonna have here are gonna be neoprene. There are some brands that might have like the rubber gasketing here. You don't want that. Remember, this is gonna be seated around your neck, and that pressure around your neck can get really uncomfortable over time. The neoprene is the way to go, where you can adjust it. This, for instance, has a little kind of Velcro straps that can tighten it and adjust it around there, so you have a snug fit around your neck. So in the event that you go in, it doesn't, the water just doesn't pour in through your neck. So neoprene's the way to go here. As we move along here on the dry suit, most of these are gonna have the zipper that comes across your body. It zips up across your body. So in this case here, starts on the lower left portion of my body, and you zip it up and around, and then you're going to step into it and get into it, pull it all over, and then you'll zipper it back up. These zippers are really important. These are watertight, waterproof zippers. It won't seep in water, so make sure, and I believe that every brand of dry suits here are going to have this feature, so it really shouldn't be something that you have to look for specifically. They should all pretty much be this, but double check just to be on the safe side so you don't get some kind of knockoff brand or whatever the case may be. So you're gonna have that big sturdy zipper here. When we get to the wrist section, this is where you're gonna have, and what I would recommend is having that rubber kind of gasketing around here. So once you put your hand through it, it's gonna seat really tight around your wrist. Sometimes it can be kind of uncomfortable. It's a bit of a trade-off here because you want that tightness around your wrist so that obviously your hands are gonna be mostly in the water. If you go in, you're trying to recover, so you don't want water flooding in through your wrist. So it's gonna be a tight fit. It can be uncomfortable at times. I know for myself, it gets a little bit of annoying after a while. Your wrist starts just kind of feeling the pressure on it, but it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off for your safety. On top of that, you're gonna have a little Velcro here so you can tie down and get a nice tight fit around your wrist here. All is really, really important. You're gonna have that on the other side as well. And for those of you wondering, this dry suit that I have is a Kokatat branded dry suit. We're gonna go down into what's gonna be one of the most important features out of a dry suit they're gonna be looking for, okay? That's gonna be a relief zipper, all right? This relief zipper right here as the name implies, is a relief for you to use the restroom. You will be in a situation where you need to go take a leak, and it's honestly, putting on these dry suits is a bit of a hassle to get it on and all of that stuff. The last thing you want to do is have to take it all off just to take a leak somewhere. So it's worth the money to just get the relief zipper. Same situation here. These relief zippers are, the zipper itself is waterproof as well. It's not going to seep through there. One important tip here is that when you do use it and you go to zipper it back up, really ensure that you've zippered it all the way to the side so there's no spacing in here, so you get that watertight seal on the zipper, because this part of your body, your lower part of your body, is going to be submerged fully, and you don't want obviously water gushing in through the zipper if you didn't really fully seat it closed after you used it to take a leak. But it's worth the money. I can't tell you how many times if you get ready to go and you're like, oh, I gotta use the restroom, and this thing is really invaluable. Okay. Your middle section here is generally going to have some kind of waistband drawstring situation, so you can tighten it up around your waist for comfort, so that you can kind of sit properly and everything is sitting where it needs to be on your body. As we go down into the, I'm going to put it right here. As we go down into the leg portion of it, you're going to want the dry suit that has a good reinforced knee section. Remember, you're going to be in your kayak, you're going to be pedaling, you're going to be squatting, getting up and down. You're doing a lot of movements in your dry suit as you're kayak fishing here. So get ones that have the reinforced knee sections here, so that as you're doing all these movements, you've got some added kind of protection there in that area. And then finally, when we drop down to the bottom section, you're going to want a dry suit that has the built-in footies here. All right, so this keeps your whole foot section fully waterproof. Of course, because your feet are going to be fully submerged in the water here. You have the sock here. Now, it's important that you take care of your dry suit, because if there's a part, in my experience, that's going to kind of go first, it's going to be the foot section. You don't want to walk barefooted with the footie exposed. So the minute you put on your dry suit, slip on whatever kind of shoes that you're going to have, your water shoes or whatever the case may be, you do not want this to tear in any form or fashion. In fact, when you go to check it every season, this is one area that I'll spend some time looking through to make sure it's all good. I don't see anything visibly wrong with the footie section. Once you slide your foot in here, again, you have a Velcro section here, so that once I put it on, I can Velcro it around my shoe or my boots or whatever the case may be, so it's a nice tight fit around that section here. Now, once you go ahead and check out your entire dry suit, you're looking at everything through here, make sure everything's in place. You're checking the seams to make sure there's no rips, no tears, and any of that stuff. Once you give it the visual look over, go ahead, put it on, get in the water. Now, when you do this, it's gonna help to achieve a couple of different things. First, it's gonna double check that everything is watertight, because obviously if you're in the water and all of a sudden you start feeling a little wetness inside of your suit, there's some kind of a rip or tear, or maybe you didn't seal the zipper properly. Most times, if you experience this, check your zippers first, because you may think that you've cinched it down fully, but there may be a little bit of play in there, a little bit of space that you didn't really seal it fully, and that's enough for that water to get in. So that's going to be your first kind of check to make sure. The second thing it's going to allow you to do is to kind of get familiar with the feeling of having a dry suit and being in the water. If you have not experienced before, the best way I can explain how it feels is it's like you feel cold, and obviously you're in the water, but you don't feel the cold of the water. And that might not make sense, but that's the best way I can describe it. I've been in the water, submerged, up to practically my neck. And the way I'll do this, and what I would suggest, is go to your local harbor and just walk from the harbor, from the boat launch, just walk into the water, and hold on to something if you're solo. Preferably do this with someone else, just in case, as always. But when you're fully submerged, you feel the compression of the water around your body. You'll feel that you'll feel the coolness of it all. But obviously, because that water isn't touching your skin directly, it's a big difference. And of course, when you're wearing this, you're gonna wanna have layers underneath it. So, things that I like to wear underneath it, and again, this is just one particular brand that I've been using, but Under Armour has like cold weather thermals I like to wear underneath this. And then once I have the core clothing, which are gonna be like my thermals to keep my, core body heat together and, in. I'll put on just a secondary layer over that, and then I'm putting on the dry suit. So typically your 3 layers, your core element, then a layer over that. So there's my rundown on a dry suit, what you need to look for, some of the features, how to check it to make sure the integrity is in check and everything's good to go. And then finally, even how to kind of test it all out and get familiar with it once you do have one. And of course, again, if you're looking for one, I'll link to a few down below that I've used or currently using that you can go ahead and decide to pick up if you would like. Thank you guys for watching. Be safe out there, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.